Hello and welcome to What's Happening in Myanmar, a weekly show from the Frontier Myanmar podcast family. I'm your host, Luke Corbin. It's Thursday, March 20, and today is episode number 20. For the next 4 or 5 weeks, we'll be producing these episodes on Thursdays, and today we are joined by Daw Khin Soe Win, previously the chief of the Voice of America Burmese service, to talk about threats to that organisation. Then we'll be joined by Salai Dokhar, the founder of India for Myanmar, a group based in India advocating for human rights and democracy in Myanmar. He'll explain the latest in Chin resistance group politics. But before we get into those conversations, let's go over some of the latest developments in the fast-moving Western theatre of the Myanmar conflict that's in and around Rakhine State. Conflict between the Arakan Army, or the AA, and the Myanmar military fled up about 5 kilometres west of the Danyawadi naval base in Jalpyu, as well as on the outskirts of the Jalpyu town proper this week. Drones, artillery, and infantry were deployed in the fighting. Military-controlled Sittwe and Jalpyu remain effectively locked down, with many civilians trapped there under the State Administration Council, and artillery shells are firing constantly around them. Now, for displaced people who previously fled the conflict in Rakhine State, but are now trying to return home and live there, things are just as difficult. This week it was reported that the military is intercepting and arresting returnees, risking the trip from Bago and Mugwe regions into the state, to prevent people from restarting their lives under AA administration. This is going on as fighting on that eastern front continues, with the AA pushing through forested areas towards the Irrawaddy River at multiple locations. This week, the AA took control of military positions in the Nyangjo area of Bandaung Township in Bago. South of there, a clash took place between the AA and the military near the Patain Monua Road in Lamyetna Township, displacing around 1,000 people. The AA's consistent progress towards the military factories along the Irrawaddy River in Bago and Mugwe regions stands in contrast to the heavy stalemates that have been happening for months in the Kachin Independence Army's battle for Bamor and the Chin Brotherhood siege of the last military base in Falam. In other consequential developments just west of Rakhine State, in Bangladesh, the Rapid Action Battalion, which is a strike force long accused of human rights abuses and extrajudicial killings, has arrested the Arakan Rohingya Salvation Army, ARSA, leader, Atta Ullah, and 5 others, including ARSA's second-in-command. The arrests took place in Dhaka on Tuesday, and they've been remanded in custody for 10 days on terrorism and immigration charges. ARSA has also been accused of numerous human rights violations and first achieved infamy for attacking military and police outposts in Rakhine State in 2016 and 2017, as well as forcibly recruiting and assassinating refugee Rohingyas in the camps in Bangladesh. But most recently, ARSA has worked alongside the Myanmar military in fighting the AA, destabilising the border area and complicating Rohingya-Rakhine relations. It's unclear where these arrests will lead, but they can't be a good thing for ARSA. In other news affecting the long-suffering Rohingya population, United Nations Secretary-General Antonio Guterres said in Bangladesh on Saturday that the United Nations is discussing the establishment of a humanitarian corridor from Bangladesh, where 1 million stateless Rohingya are still sheltering, into northern Rakhine State, where they fled from. I quote, "I think it's important to engage with the Arakan Army in order to ensure full respect of the rights of the Rohingya population in Rakhine State." Unquote. While it's unlikely the AA would allow large-scale Rohingya returns anytime soon, the Secretary-General mentioning cooperation with the armed group is significant in legitimising their control of the Myanmar side of the Bangladesh border. Later this month, Bangladesh leader Mohammad Yusuf is going to travel to Beijing, China, where it's expected that he'll have conversations about Rakhine State and the Rohingya with Chinese leaders. Meanwhile, the AA handed over 26 Bangladeshi and Rohingya fishermen to the border guard Bangladesh on Saturday. These fishermen were detained earlier this month on the Naf River, dividing Myanmar and Bangladesh, and their release follows negotiations between the border guard and the AA. The Naf River remains a tense body of water, with daily irregular, perilous movement of people and boats between AA-controlled areas and Bangladesh. And as was confirmed this week, there's also movement of logged teak wood. The AA has been cutting down teak forests under its control and selling the wood to Bangladesh. Activists would like the army to regulate this industry, especially since some AA officials are apparently already deeply involved in the trade. Logging primary growth forest in a country that's still rapidly losing its forest coverage is yet another environmental tragedy, especially given Rakhine State in particular is prone to natural disasters, which are only exacerbated by such deforestation. This barely scratches the surface of what took place last week in Myanmar. Over 500 airstrikes have hit homes, a market, a monastery, and other non-combat targets since last Friday. In less than 7 days, the military has killed over 50 civilians across the country, including those already displaced from their homes, the elderly, and at least 3 children. People are still being repatriated from the scam centres on the Thailand border, and a Thai police general in charge of anti-scam operations this week said he estimates there are up to 100,000 people still working in the scam compounds. So if you want to get daily updates on these and more of what's happening in Myanmar with English context and analysis, and even translations of Myanmar local media and social media posts, look no further than a Frontier Myanmar membership. You can have all this for less than the price of a salad roll each week. Go to frontiermyanmar.net/membership or email members@frontiermyanmar.net to get involved. Now, let's look at the United States before greeting our first guest. The new national administration in the United States continues to cause chaos in that country and abroad as it ignores laws, guts the government services, and capitulates to dictators. The effects of President Donald Trump's second term are being felt far and wide by Myanmar's pro-democracy and anti-coup resistance movement. This week, Reuters claimed that the Trump administration is even considering issuing travel restrictions for Myanmar citizens applying for tourist, student, and immigration visas. No reason was given for such a potential action, but Donald Trump regularly rails against immigrants from poor and disadvantaged countries, while seeking now to offer direct pathways to citizenship for sale to foreign millionaires, with no checks and balances against corruption. The administration also targeted the United States Institute of Peace this week, that's USIP. USIP is a congressionally funded, fully independent non-profit that works to advance US values in conflict resolution, to end wars and promote good governance. Now, the administration has fired most of the board of USIP and installed a new leader, despite protests that all of this is illegal. The USIP's expertise on conflict in Myanmar has really long been of great value and helped to inform English language media coverage and analysis. But even bigger news this week is that on Friday, March 14, Donald Trump signed an executive order calling for the reduction of non-statutory components of the government's Agency for Global Media. Now, this supervises Voice of America, VOA, and Radio Free Asia, RFA, among others. VOA and RFA are two media organisations that have provided uncensored, independent and free news and information in the Burmese language for decades. The order directly threatens these and similar organisations' operations, and 1,300 VOA employees are now on administrative leave. Both VOA and RFA have experienced interruptions to their various services since the executive order, which comes as several other independent Myanmar news organisations struggle to deal with losing funding from the Trump administration's recent destruction of the US Agency for International Development. Now, those USAID cuts affected much more than the media, And on Monday, AFP reported that the United Nations Special Rapporteur on Myanmar, Tom Andrews, declared the cuts are fueled by, I quote, politically motivated and demonstrably false declarations about corruption, waste and abuse that will cause immense suffering and cost untold numbers of lives. It's about betrayal. This is shameful. It's unconscionable, outrageous. It's sacrificing human lives to make a bad political point, based upon fabrications and distortions. Well, with that viewpoint in mind, in this brave new world in America, RFA does indeed look to be closing for good, but VOA's future is a little less certain, with the administration potentially keeping it open, but changing it drastically and removing its famous firewall against interference. For people who don't know the reach of VOA Burmese, it has 19 million followers on Facebook. That's even more than the parent Voice of America page, which has 13 million. Now, to work through all this, I'm really happy to say that today we're privileged to be joined by a VOA veteran, Daw Khin Soe Win. She was the chief of the Voice of America Burmese service until recently she lodged her paperwork for retirement. She did that in January, only just before the new administration and the chaos unleashed by Trump, Musk, and many others. Okay, Daw Khin Soe Win, hello and welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me. It's an honor to be part of your program.
No, it's a real honor for us to have you here. Now, I want to ask you straight up first, you know, the VOA and the RFA, they have such a huge reach and reputations. So what would losing them, mean for Myanmar? And what would losing them mean for the United States?
Yeah, if I may, first of all, on behalf of the former VOA Burmese service team, I would like to apologize to our loyal audience inside Burma as well as around the globe for abruptly disrupted of VOA radio and TV shows on 8th of March. And I'm deeply saddened for our audience, which thirsts for credible and reliable news under these current circumstances in Burma. And, from the United States point of view, I mean, it's unthinkable and unbelievable in the United States of America. It's a kind of resemblance of the cracking down all independent media in Burma at the beginning of military coup in 2021. And, our loyal audience, they are floating in this social media era with disinformation, misinformation, fake news. So they need our balanced, credible, resourceful information, what we are providing. This is necessary. So I think this is the loss for our audience inside Burma, around the globe, as well as the United States interests. United States interest means the soft power. So this is how, losing from both sides. That's how I see it.
You're talking to us from the East Coast of the US, and it's Wednesday, your time. Now, we know about Trump's executive order, and we know about the staff of VOA going on administrative leave. But what's the latest? What's the latest about the fate of the Voice of America News Service?
So far, as of today, VOA is not closed yet. As far as I am aware that, the Burmese language service personal services contractors, we call PSCs, all 15 of them, they are terminated as of yesterday. So they are gone. And the federal full-time employees are put on admin leave. But the management team insisted that VOA has not shut down yet. So, and administration is trying to cut the budget of VOA, so to speak. So it means VOA might come back in the other form of, the media organization, which is under control of the current administration. So it's not completely shut down. That's what the administration said. So we have to hope, if the VOA Burmese can still air, but I don't know what kind of, policy they are going to set. And it's a little bit, it is unique because we have a firewall the firewall is, it's a little bit complicated, so I want to, read out the firewall enshrined in the 1994 U.S. International Broadcasting Act. So the firewall prohibits interference by any U.S. government officials in the objective and independent reporting of news, thereby safeguarding the ability of our journalists to develop content that reflects the highest professional standards of journalism, free of political interference. So that's why I don't know what will happen to this firewall. Maybe they are going to change this law. Otherwise, how are they going to, navigate what news we have to, broadcast or, So this is a little bit too early to tell whether VOA is going to survive as an independent media or not. In Burma, in the remote area along the border area, they are still relying on our radio. So it's a great loss for the people, in IDP camps, the refugees along the border. So they rely on our radio. And we have our affiliates along the border, the Ganayawadi Times in Rakhine State, and also the Federal FM. So the refugees community, they always listen to our radio, what is going on in Burma or what is going on in the whole world. So they are losing. It's their life and death of, the important news. And VOA is not only running TV shows. We have radio on TV, 2 hours, live radio on TVs, half-hour live television show, and also we have shortwave radio reaching out to those community. If I may brag about the global audience trust, it's 98% according to the recent survey. So we are the trusted news, and this is the very important factor for the Burmese audience, because whenever they heard something about, for instance, something happened in the middle of Burma, the military column burned down the whole village, and then the civilian killed or something like that, no matter how the other news agency, like other agencies posted the news, the audience are still waiting when VOA Burmese cited with the reliable sources from the ground, as well as the reaching out to the military spokesperson, so that that we have the balanced kind of reliable news. This is how we become the trusted news for our audience. So that's how we are very proud, to carry this kind of credible news for our audience. So also in the past, if I may, we still maintain a good relationship with the Ministry of Information. And Ministry of Information also trusts us. After the coup, also we have, kind of relatively a good relationship with the military spokesperson. Whenever we reach out to them, they always respond. Sometimes they didn't respond, but we always include in our news that we reach out to the military spokesperson. We always uphold the media ethics. We just put aside our emotions. We know how people are suffering inside Burma, and then we all put aside our emotions and we let our audience know the credible news. So this is how we are proudly stand, for how many years now? VOA has been for 83 years. Now we are 82 years old, only 1 year younger than the main VOA. VOA Burmese is now 82 years old.
And this crisis for VOA, this crisis overall for Myanmar media, it's only one part of the chaos being unleashed in America and by America. So I want to ask you about your community. What's the atmosphere among the Myanmar community inside the United States during this time? Donald Trump, he's lifting up the dictators of the world and undermining democratic norms and institutions, including independent media. So how are you and your community feeling?
Well, I don't know how to put it. Some Burmese diaspora, they support Trump, and they still supporting Trump. Unbelievable. And I don't know how to, say to them, but I wish they will be realized, how the whole community is affected. But for the Burmese diaspora, the Burmese community in our area, the DMV area, Washington, D.C., Maryland, and Virginia area, this is, the Burmese community is a tight-knit, a community. So they feel very bad about VOA and RFA, facing this, hardship. But some people, they said, oh, it's wasting taxpayer money. So it's, they deserve it. It's kind of, so there are two groups of people in America. I don't want to be judgmental, but anyway, the Burmese community are still helping the Burmese democracy movement and also the Spring Revolution. So every weekend in the DMV area, we have fundraisings. The fundraising it's immense. And then the NUG and CRPH and the exile group, they rely on the Burmese diaspora's contribution. They don't get any help from any other foreign government. That's what I understand. So anyway, so it's so depressing sometimes. I don't know.
Yeah, I'm really sorry. This is a really hard time. It's going to impact the revolution in Myanmar. There's no question about that. But okay, here's a question: what will that impact be? How do you feel about the Spring Revolution, given your life's work, decades of media experience, following all of these political changes in Myanmar, and then closely following the last 4 years of the Spring Revolution?
I respect and I adore the young people, the PDFs, who is fighting against this brutal military regime with their bare hands at the very beginning. And what the Burmese people, they need, to be strong. Of course, they need to be strong. And I would like all of them to be united because, there are some factions, inside, even in the PDFs and also NUG and CRPH and also the ethnic communities like Chin, they also have some kind of, divisions among themselves. So I want them, all of them to be united to fight against that common enemy who, I don't have to say it, who is the common enemy of Burma for the Burmese people. So they need to be united. But they might say, that old lady is living in the United States and she couldn't do anything. But I want them to be united. So this is, that's my personal opinion. Before this, we all Burmese, poor Burmese, they are very much hoping for the United Nations to come and help, and also United States to come and help, But even United Nations, let alone in physically helping, they have to struggle to put out a statement. So this is United Nations. So I don't know. And then United States is now hopeless. And also the the Inside Burma also, the pro-junta, channels, they are, applauding, and then they are just cheering, there's no longer VOA and RFA, the sky full of lies. So, and they are cheering, and they are it's kind of a victory lap for them.
Well, I mean, let's hope it's a short lap, or even it's a lap that gets cut off before it's finished. Daw Khin Soe Win, thank you so much for talking about this. It's clear how difficult a time this is for you and so many others. But for you, someone who's worked so hard, for so long for this organization that you really believe in, I really hope that there's some good news, some verified, independent good news sometime soon.
Thank you so much for having me as well. And then this is my pleasure and honor to be part of your program.
Now, I'm going to talk to you, the listener. Did you know that Frontier Myanmar has another podcast? It's called Daw Khin, which means Our Voice, and it's a bilingual show in Burmese and English focused on human rights. Just a few days ago, the latest English language episode dropped about protest and survival on the streets of Myanmar cities. Go and check it out wherever you download your shows. That's DOHATHAN, Daw Khin. Thanks, and now on to our next guest. There's around 27 armed resistance groups operating in Chin State today that share the aim of uniting to create a coherent political and military structure opposing the Myanmar military. But at the moment, these groups fall into two separate alliances. The Chin Brotherhood, formed in December 2023, and mostly comprising new post-coup armed groups that have been aided by the Arakan Army, and the Chinland Council, spearheaded by the Chin National Front, a group formed back in the tumult of 1988, and which signed a ceasefire with the military previously. Now, since the Chin Brotherhood was formed, hostilities and competition between the two alliances has dispirited civilians, soldiers, and observers. Experts have talked about this on the show before. See our episodes from February 7 and December 6. Now, thankfully, after several efforts, the two sides sat down late last month in Aizawl, the capital of neighbouring Mizoram State, and finally signed an in-principle agreement to come under one political umbrella as the Chin National Council, and to develop an interim state constitution. There's been no reported violence between the groups since then. But what has happened, maybe unrelatedly, yet interestingly nonetheless, is a series of India-related controversies. First, a Mizoram state government MP visited resistance groups in Chin State, saying they could join India if they wanted to. And another MP from Manipur state apparently declared that India should take back the Kabul Valley, now part of Myanmar's Sagaing region. To explain what we can expect from these developments, we're joined by our second guest today, Salai Dokhar of the India for Myanmar organization. Hello, Salai Dokhar, and welcome to the show.
Thank you very much for having me.
Getting straight into it, the agreement, or maybe we could more accurately describe it as a pre-agreement, was mediated. It was brokered by the head of government of Mizoram State, Laduhoma. So what led to these two factions finally breaking bread? And what was Laduhoma's role?
As we all see that since the Chinland Council and ICNC split into two parts, a lot of tension, political tension and conflict has happened. And then also some of our problem we have faced is we cannot get support from the international community because of the ground situation. And then the worst thing is we may lose to unite as a federal unit in the future. That's why the all Chin group are consider and focusing to the interests of the Chin people, and they change their mindsets to reunite all the Chin people as one political leading process called Chin National Council. But in this uniting rule, Pulau Dokhar rule is very important. As we may, the Chin internal conflict have started. A lot of mediators come to unite these two groups, but that didn't work. But after Lalur Homa come and start his leading rule to unite Chin group, the success is in a short time. His rule is he can solve the trust issue in Chin group, and then his service to Chin refugee is very helpful in this making peace process. So I think, yeah.
So it seems like, listening to you, that Lalduhoma had sort of leverage in this mediation. Do you think he applied any pressure to these groups to sign?
I think there is no pressure direct from Pulau Dokhar and the central government, but as internal conflict is bring a lot of internal problem, and then also external problem is happening in Mizoram state. For example, in Matupi is free now, but all Matupi-based refugee cannot go back to their hometown. So they still living in Mizoram. So I don't know the internal discussion, but before the discussion, Pulau Dokhar will share how much he is facing because Chin internal conflict and Chin and military conflict, Myanmar conflict, because of he have looking after thousands of Chin refugee and Burmese refugee, and then also that caused a lot of economic tensions and a lot of social tension in Mizoram. That's why after sharing that problem, I think Chin leader will aware that what kind of problem we are making to our neighboring and our brotherhood Mizoram.
So are all the tensions over between Chin armed groups, especially those that have clashed in the past? How will the pre-agreement affect the intra-Chin resistance group conflict on the ground of Chin State?
A lot of discussion will be needed to form Chin National Council, but still in the internal conflict is happening silently. And then also some issues are coming out to the social media and local media platform, but some are not coming out from the ground. But we are pushing them to have discussion to solve the problem instead of fighting with arms. That's why we are still facing a lot of internal conflict and tension. But this agreement resolves a lot of problem because the competition is end now. The competition of administration issue, the competition of territorial control, and the competition of representative, the competition of the legitimacy to the people. That's why I believe this precondition have solved a lot of problem, even though the discussion is needed. But there is something challenging remain for the future. This is to reform the armed group as one. Because of to reform all the armed group is based on the political agreement and the reformation of the Chinland, Chin administration and something like that. So, and then the armed cooperation is not good yet. As you know, the Chin Brotherhood and its alliance is fighting Flam, but CC group member cannot join in the fighting of that group. So they are fighting their own ways. They are still fighting their own way, but the competition is ending now. The trust building is starting now, and then we have to continuously have meeting every month or every the engagement. If the engagement and the meeting and the discussion is happening again and again, the trust issue will be solved. I think that's why I have a lot of hope from this British agreement.
Okay, so you think maybe monthly discussions are needed. What's next? What's next in the process to form the Chin National Council?
The next meeting will be bring to form the committee, official committee to draft the constitution of Chin National Constitution according to the agreement, and then both sides are selecting their representative to send to form the constitution drafting committee. So I think if the constitution drafting committee is formed, they have to meet again and again. Also, we have to make some informal discussion among two groups, like the informal discussions and other formal meeting between this group is very important to have trust to finish this drafting committee and to overcome the disagreement to agreement as one Chin National Council. Yeah.
As I alluded to earlier, around the time of the signing of this pre-agreement, relations between India and the State Administration Council of Myanmar were sort of thrown a kilter when a member of parliament from India's Mizoram state, that's K. Vanalvina, actually visited Chin State and met resistance leaders there. Then another MP from Manipur state, Laishemba Sanajauba, called for India to reclaim the Kabul Valley in Indian media just last week. So why are these MPs suddenly getting more interested in the border region? These calls for Chin people to join India or for India to annex territory from what is ostensibly legally Myanmar territory.
According to our history context, Chin people are independent of their country. Before colonial time, during colonial time, we are a separate administration from Burma. Then also, when we get independent, Chin leader cannot unite as one to have independent country. Well, some alliance engage with Burma and get independent with got independent with Burma, and some are with India, and some become a part of Bangladesh. So that's why some of Chin political leaders have dream, including me. We have dream to unite all Chin people to become independent or to unite in one administration like Burma or India or something like that. So this is not the first time. But in this situation, during the Myanmar Revolution, and Chin people control nearly all of their territory, that this MP invitation to join India is very hot. A lot of people interested. But for Chin people, this is very normal thing. This is our dream. And secondly, to respond the Manipur MP, actually his speech history content is a little bit wrong. And first thing, and then secondly, in Kabul Valley is Chin and the not Meitei group area. If we look at the population, there are Chin and Burma and Shani and something not connected with Meitei ethnic group. That's why this the proposal is not possible. Secondly, that kind of invitation also, that kind of proposal also happened during 2013-14 election of India to get a vote from the their supporter. So this is also a kind of normal things. But if we look at this situation, such kind of political content is becoming very interesting from Burma side and India side international. And then this is the very important issue, I think, because of the the Indian politicians want their border to be safe. They are focusing on the border security. When they look at Myanmar situation, they guess that Burma can become a failed state. But their priority approach is to have federal state in the near future. So India central government always promote to have a federal state in Myanmar and to have peace dialogue with all stakeholders. So India central government is promoting this issue as priority, but they have backup plan to influence their border security, like China is doing Northern state, and then they want if Burma become failed state, their border part area they are welcoming. They are ready to welcome the border area state like Chin, some of Naga, something like that. So even if not a policy of formal policy of India central government, this is the thinking way of India political leaders. So we have to learn how to approach India. So what is India is interesting. So this is this kind of issue is, I think, the signal of India interest on Myanmar. So we have, as a resistant group, we have to take this as opportunity. A lot of Chin people who are living in India is ready to welcome their Chin people because we are facing a lot of brutal fight. We are facing a lot of pressure and some humiliation from the central, historically the central government of Myanmar. Yeah, during now the situation is worse day by day. That's why India part is ready to welcome us. Chin people can decide.
Yeah, that's a really nice place to stop, Salai. Salai Dokhar, thank you. You have provided wonderful expert commentary on these issues, the pre-agreement and the potential for unity and a new constitution, a new Chin National Council in Chin State for the Chin resistance groups. And also thank you for your commentary on the cross-border visits and statements by MPs in Northeast India. I hope to see you on the show again soon.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me. and then thank you so much for this chance to express my experience and the way I am thinking to our political content. Thank you so much for this opportunity.
Before saying goodbye, I want to mention there's an obituary for Nine U Myint, also known as Nine Myanmar, with reflections on his revolutionary songs. It's up on the Frontier website this week. Check it out. If you don't know who he was, he's the man behind Gaba Majibu, and he passed away last month in Than Lien. Now, you can still email the show on whimyanmar@proton.me, but I'm also happy to disclose that our listener survey is ready for you. So please look in the show notes, click the link, and fill out the survey. You can have your say on the future direction of this podcast. We'd love to hear from you. So please do the listener survey. And thanks again for keeping up with another week of what's happening in Myanmar. Farewell and take care.